Let me share my screen as well before I forget. Okay, cool. Okay, so can everyone see my screen fine? Am I sharing the right one? Okay, hopefully I am. Okay, so last class we learned a lot of stuff, right? Last class we learned new things. We learned about how we can write pseudocode, and I gave you guys an example, right? It was an example we already did because I did it with the intention that I wanted you guys to um like have a problem you already kind of know how to do, but I want you guys to like practice writing pseudocode with it, right? So today, all I wanted to do for you guys is just give you guys more practice on writing pseudocode, but instead it's a problem that you haven't seen before, hopefully, right? It's a problem we didn't do in this class yet, so I just want you guys to have like a fresh start, right? Fresh start, not have any idea, I guess, on what the solution actually is, and just be able to get from not knowing anything to writing a pseudocode to finding the solution, right? So it's like a three-step process, right? You first understand the problem, you then write the pseudocode, right? Well, I guess like a four-step process where you first understand the problem, and then you make test cases, right? You make I guess like inputs of the problem yourself, where you make inputs of the problem yourself, right? And then after you test it, okay, there's this method, right? It kind of works, right? Then you can write pseudocode for it, and then you can finally code your solution and solve the problem, right? So I just want to give you guys a problem. I try to make the problems like when you're practicing new things, I try to make it as easy as possible. So this time, I don't know, I had like a hard time trying to find like an easier problem. So this problem might not be too easy. So I mean, I think you guys can still do it. You guys are smart students, right? Hopefully. Oh, and also, there's like, if you guys live in LA, there's like a big fire right now. So hopefully, you guys haven't been affected by it too much. So hopefully you guys haven't been affected by it too much. But back to what we were saying is, I believe that you guys can solve the problem, right? So today, all we're gonna do is this is class 9, right? There's only a few more weeks left of this whole class, right? It's very fast. We're almost done with module 2, right? And that's the complete course of what I have for you guys, right? So hopefully by the end of the course, you kind of get you got a chance to apply what we learned in module 1 in module 2, and hopefully in module 2 you learn some problem solving skills, how to tackle a problem through pseudocode, through making your own test cases, things like that, right? So hopefully you guys learned some things, right? If anything that you might want to learn, just let me know and I can maybe create a slides for it and I can teach a class like that, right? It's because these last few classes I was gonna do an activity on the last week of, last week of I guess our last class, right? And these next 2 weeks, I don't quite remember how many classes we have left. I think we have 3 classes, including this. So maybe next week we'll probably be doing more practice, and then the final week I'll give you a chance to apply everything that you learned, and we're gonna do a fun activity. Okay, so kind of like what we did in module 1, right? So okay, so today all there is very simple, it's problems and homework, right? So I did change it up from I guess group of people the last group of students that I taught. So I did assign homework in the pseudocode because I wanted you guys to actually practice writing pseudocode, right? So there was practice, and I haven't had a chance to I guess like deeply look into everyone's. I looked into some, but I did see some good submissions, right? Some good ideas. But did you guys have any questions about the homework? Maybe something you were unsure of how to write pseudocode that I can help with? Or are you guys like, you guys got it, completely sure, 100% you got it? Or any questions? Uh, and please feel free, of course, you're always welcome to ask questions. You're always welcome to ask questions. Okay. Anything, or are we okay today? Or at least for the homework? Are we okay for the homework? And if I'm ever speaking too fast, just let me know. And there's also captions at like the bottom of your screen, just like captures what I say in like a paragraph form. Okay. So if there's no homeworks about or there's no questions about the homework, hopefully you guys did try the homework at least. Remember, all I can ask from you guys, just try 30 minutes on the homework, or 30 minutes on the homework. If you can't solve the homework or writing pseudocode is confusing, please ask questions, right? Please ask questions in the next class. And I also have a TA hour, right? I have a TA hour every Sunday, right? That you guys can come and ask questions on, right? So please feel free. I'm trying my best to like give you guys as many opportunities for you guys to ask questions, right? You can always like, send me a message in Google Classroom. You can come to the TA hour, or you can ask questions in class, right? There's many opportunities for you guys to ask questions, and please don't feel scared to ask questions, right? Questions are always welcome. And actually, like, I'd rather you guys ask questions than stay silent, right? So if you guys have a question, please feel free to ask them, okay? So, okay, cool. So today, all we're gonna do is, well, there was homework last week, but we're just gonna get straight into problems, right? So, well, it wasn't homework last week, as in like I give you guys a actual problem to solve, right? Last class, like, all I wanted you guys to write was write the pseudocode for the problem, right? So today, I'm just gonna give you guys a problem for you guys to solve, right? And I want you guys, since I want to go over the solution, I'm gonna give you guys less time to solve the problem. But the biggest thing, I want you guys to at least get to the pseudocode solution, right? You don't really have, I don't really expect you guys to finish the code in the amount of time I give you. If you do, great, awesome, right? You're probably ahead of the class, right? But all I kind of want you guys to do is try to write the pseudocode for the problem, right? I'm going to give you guys 30 minutes to solve instead of our regular 40, 45, right? I'm going to give you guys 30 minutes this time. So we're going to reconvene at 3:40, 3:41. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys 30 minutes, and all I want you guys to do is write the pseudocode for the problem. Okay. And around like maybe let's say the 10-minute mark, if you guys can't understand the problem, let me know and I'll help you out. Okay. Around the 10-minute mark. So around, let's say around let's see, 3:20, I guess like 3:20, 3:22, right? If you guys just can't understand what the problem's saying, let me know and I'll help you out, right? But I want you guys to try to just first understand the problem, make your test cases, right? Make your own inputs of the problem, right? Solve it, and then see if you can write a pseudocode for it. Okay, that's all I want you guys to do for this 30 minutes, right? I'll be right with you in the chat, right? Just please try your best, right? Just try for the 30 minutes, right? Try for the 30 minutes, try your best, right? Let me know if you have any questions and I'll be right here to help you guys out, okay? So I'm gonna pause the recording and I'm gonna stop my, so let's see. You guys did, I guess, ask good questions. Those were good questions. And I just wanted to remind you guys, right? Please make sure when you're reading the problem, right? Don't only look at this, right? Don't only look at the problem statement, but this like step one, right? Step one is look at not only the problem statement, but also the constraints, right? The constraints, they give you very important information as well, right? So, and some things is when you're looking at the inputs, make sure you can have like more than one input, right? And they tell you what each input is in the problem statement, right? Like you can see that broken letters are all the distinct letters that are broken, and text is the words that you have, right? So you have everything, right? And you don't like try to make sure you read the whole problem, right? Read the whole problem, make sure you know what each variable is and what it does, right? And they will give you the problem gives you everything you need to solve it, right? It's possible to solve. Okay, so let's go over like what we saw, right? Hopefully you guys try the problem at least, right? You guys understand how to I guess like approach this, right? Hopefully you guys have a good idea. You just, at least tried, right? At least try for 30 minutes. Okay. And let me know if you have any questions, right? If you guys are just bottling up your questions and I can't really do anything about it, right? So, okay, so let's just read the problem, right? There is a non-functioning keyboard. While some keys do not work, all other keys work properly. Okay, well, we're kind of just having, okay, well, problem statement is going to be something to do with some keys work, some keys don't, right? And really, this sentence doesn't really give you much information, but this last sentence gives you the most information. It gives you the whole problem, right? So, given a string text, words that are separated by a single space, and please make sure, again, please make sure you read the whole problem, right? This tells you how is text formatted, right? The words in the text variable are separated by a space, right? So please make sure you read the whole problem. If you guys like, I guess for now, right? Like I can help you guys. I know the problem statement. I know what the problem is gonna be about. So you can ask me, right, what the problem is saying. But when you're doing problems yourself, right, please make sure that you are reading the whole problem, right? Like this sentence, right? This one sentence, there's a lot of information. There might be a lot of information, right? Please make sure you read everything, right? Like this text, it says we're separated by a single space. So now you know how text is formatted, right? And a string broken letters, right? So we know that broken letters are the all distinct letter keys that are broken, right? So we know what our inputs is, right? We know text, right? Text is just a sentence of words that are separated by a space, right? And broken letters are just all the distinct letters that don't work, right? That don't work, that are broken, right? And we're going to return the number of words in text that can be fully typed using the keyboard, right? So I guess you can fully type using this keyboard. You might be thinking, okay, what keyboard? Then you can see that that first sentence will help you out too, right? So now we can kind of see that, okay, so now we have a lot of information now, right? We know text, right? Text is going to be a bunch of words separated by a space, right? And we have something called broken letters. Broken letters is going to be all distinct letter keys that are broken, right? All the distinct letter keys that are broken, right? We can't use those letters. And our goal is to try to see, okay, how many words in text can we make by not using any letter in broken letters? Right? I'll say that again. Like, how many words can we make in text, right? That can't be made, or that can be made without using broken letters, right? Without using the letters in broken letters, right? How many words can we make in text, right? That can be made without using the letters in broken letters, right? That is the problem statement, right? That is the entire problem statement. You completely understood everything, right? So now we'll hopefully you guys at least understood the solution, right? Hopefully even I hope you guys open the problem, right? Like if you guys didn't open the problem, then hopefully that's not the case, right? So let's go over how now we have step one done, right? Step one's done, right? So now let's look at the inputs, right? Look at all the examples. We know the problem statement already, so now we can match our understanding with the problem statement, or sorry, or with the inputs, right? So you can see that text hello world and the text is hello world, right? And the words are hello and world, right? Because they're separated by a space, right? And broken letters is AD, right? AD are the broken letters. Well, let's ask ourselves a question. Okay, could we make hello without using the letters A and D? But we can, right? And why could we not? What goes on in our brain is, well, we see there's no A in hello and there's no D in hello, right? And when you're thinking of it like that, in the more, I guess, the simplest case, right, the most basic case, right, now you can kind of see a like a solution kind of arises now, right? A solution kind of shows up itself. We can kind of see that, okay, for each word, if I don't see letter A and if I don't see letter D, then it's possible, right? And you can validate that because that's possible with code, right? Remember that we use the in statement, right? The in statement or the find statement, right? We can use the find statement that we learned in module one, and we can check, does A exist in hello? Does D exist in hello, right? If both of them don't, then we can write the word hello, right? So we add one to our answer, right? So you can kind of see that just by going, we didn't even have to make any test cases, but just by going, well, that's not always going to be the case. We're probably, for a lot of problems that we do, we always have to make test cases because the problem itself doesn't give enough examples. But this one, you guys got lucky. They gave you a lot of examples for you guys to use, right? But just for this case, you can kind of think that, okay, well, how my brain scanned it, right? When I looked at hello, is it possible to make, I was looking for if there's any A in hello or if there's any D in hello, right? And that's possible with code, right? You can do that with code as well. That's an amazing thing with code, right? So you can kind of, and then also get world, right? We're looking at world, okay, well, we think, okay, well, the answer is one. That means world can't be, the world's not possible, right? To be typed out with these broken letters, A and D, right? And you can kind of, you know, question yourself why, right? Why is world not able to be typed out when the letters A and D are broken? Well, A doesn't exist in world, but D exists in world, right? The last letter of world is D, right? But the letter D is broken, so we can't write the world, we can't write the word world, right? It doesn't work, right? So now we know why our answer is one. And if you followed example two, example three, I'm going to skip those for the interest of time, but same thing. So now we have a general solution in mind, right? So we're going to go through all the words and we're just going to check, does the word contain the broken letters, right? If the word contains the broken letters, then we can't write the word. We cannot write the word, right? We can't write the word, right? So does that make sense? How maybe if the solution was a little confusing to you, does it kind of make sense that just by looking at it, just by reading it, we can kind of already like get a sense of how the solution is going to be for this problem specifically, right? Because well, there's going to be harder problems later on as well. So you'll always have to think a bit deeper and also make more test cases as well, right? And this problem might have been a little challenging, but hopefully that just gave you like a little insight on how we could have approached it, right? So now we have a general solution in mind, right? We're gonna go through every single word, right? And we're gonna check, okay, if any of the broken letters, if any of them, right? If any of the broken letters exist in the word that we're looking at, then that word is not possible. So we don't add that word to our account, right? We don't add that word to our answer, right? Otherwise we do, right? If none of the words, absolutely zero of the letters, right, exist in the word that we're on, then that word is possible to be written, right? To be typed out with this keyword, right? So does that make sense? How we kind of have a solution now? Okay. And you guys were asking some very good questions as well about I guess some functions and how you might split text, right? Based on the spaces. And there is I kind of said it, there's something called a dot split function, right? And hopefully you guys remember that from module one, right? We learned about a dot split function. It just splits it based on some character, right? You can split it based on a space. You can even split it based on the letter L. So you can split it based on anything. But for our case, we're gonna have to split it based on a space, right? So, and it returns a list, right? So it's a very powerful function, and it's the function that we're gonna be using. Okay, so let's go over the solution. Let's go over the solution. So now, right, let's see how we could have wrote a pseudocode, right? If this is one, remember, pseudocode is tailored to you guys, right? It's specific to what you guys understand, right? My way of pseudocode is just what makes sense to me and something that I guess, well, it's something that made sense to me and then I made it so that it's understandable to everyone, right? So sometimes, right, you can, of course, please feel free to follow the way. I try to make it as easy and straightforward as possible so you guys can understand and it's easy for you guys to write it as well, right? It's just the way that I made, but you guys can always make up your own way, right? Something that just is understandable to you guys, right? That can help you solve the problem, right? Something that just can help you solve the problem, right? And one tip is I don't really recommend you guys just writing the actual code as pseudocode because that's not really pseudocode anymore, right? Pseudocode is kind of just to get all your ideas down, right? All your ideas down on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to, you don't have to spend the time figuring out how I'm gonna write the actual code, right? Just get your ideas down on a piece of paper in code format, just so when you're writing the code, you can think about writing the code only, right? And not what my solution is gonna be. Because after you create a blueprint, right, you can just follow the blueprint and just figure out how you can write the code, right? So it just makes your life easier. Okay. So this is the pseudocode, right? Loop through the text, right? Loop through the text as in we're just going to go through every single word one by one, right? If we've seen a word and there's zero characters in the word that are in broken letters, we're gonna add to our answer, which is words, right? Words is gonna be our answer, right? So that's kind of it, right? That's kind of it, right? That's my way of writing pseudocode. Very simple, very basic. And now I can follow, right? First, I'm going to loop through every single word in the text, right? Then I'm gonna see if the current word I'm on has any broken letters. If not, then we can add it to our answer. If yes, then we can't add it to our answer, right? So does this pseudocode make sense on how we can solve the problem? Okay, cool. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. Okay. So there's a solution and there's two solutions, a complex solution, there's an easy solution, right? So let's just go over the easy solution because it's basically does the same thing, it solves a problem, right? So instead of doing this, we're gonna write from scratch, right? So let me actually copy this pseudocode so we have something to, I guess, like reference when we write, right? But this should have been on your piece of paper already, but since I have to, it's on a slide, I'm just gonna copy it here. But usually I'd recommend it to be on a piece of paper, right? And if we want it to be in code format, we can do the correct indentation as well, right? So now let's loop through text, right? Remember what I told you guys, let me just show you guys that the split statement works, right? So all we're gonna do is we're gonna have our list of words, and we're gonna do it text.split, and we're gonna split it based on this. And let's just say we're gonna print list of words. And that's not gonna work because we haven't done anything, but I'm just gonna show you guys that this works. Okay, so when you want to test something, or just click run, you have a print statement and it should show an std out, So, well, I got everything wrong because but you can see that std out, right? There is a hello. Oh, and why is it like a U? Is it like, I don't know why there's a U. That might be an issue with leak code actually. Not sure why there's a U. Yeah, I don't know why there's a U, but I don't think that that should matter. But that might be something just a bug with the leak code thing, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Python 3. Maybe I can try that, let's see if it works. And Python 3 and Python, they're basically the same thing. So, oh, and it didn't print it. I don't have the premium account, so let's just wait a little bit. I'm gonna make you wait like 5 seconds between. Oh yeah, okay, that works. That works. Cool, thank you. So yeah, just make sure you use Python 3. Okay, so now we see that, okay, well, it's split into a list, right? We can see that when we did text split, we split into a list. So now we can loop through the text, right? We can get every single word specifically. Right? So for I in the list of words. Boom, right? And then let's just have our count, right? We said our count's gonna be words, so let's just set it as words, keep it consistent, right? So now, okay, we did step one. This part's done. Right? I'm just gonna done, right? So now we want to. This is probably the hardest part of the whole problem, right? If we've seen a word and 0 characters in the word are in broken letters, right? Then we're gonna add to the word. So now let's just check: is our current word, if is any of the letters in current word in broken letters, right? That's kind of like is any letter in current word in broken letters? Because if so, then we can't write the word with, because it contains a broken letter, right? So we can't write the word, right? So instead of saying I, let's just say current. This is our current word. Okay, so now let's check. So now we're gonna go through every single letter in current word, right? So for current letter in current word, right? But remember what we did is the find function, right? The find function, right? And I think the find function should, yeah, the find function would work. So if, let's say, broken letters dot find, right, dot find current letter, I have an extra, here, extra for some reason, equals to -1, right, or does not equal to -1, right? So remember, negative, when broken letters, right, when we're doing, let's say, let me give an example, right? We learned this in module 1, right? If our word was banana, say S equals to banana, and we did our C equals to the letter Z, right? If I did S dot find Z, that means I'm trying to find, or S dot find C, I'm trying to find if the letter Z is in banana, right? If the letter Z does not appear, this will return -1, right? So if it's not equal to -1, that means it exists somewhere, right? So this means that we can't make, this means that we cannot make the current word, right? Because a broken letter exists in it, right? So we cannot make the current word, right? So let's just say possible equals to true. Right? Let's just first set it to true. Let's be optimistic. But otherwise, if a broken letter exists, then we set as false. Then it doesn't work, right? So then we just check if possible is true, then we add to our words, right? Boom. That's what we kind of just did, right? And then at the end, we just return words. And let's see what happens. Run. Pretty sure this will work. Yeah, everything worked. Awesome. And let's click submit. Once all 3 passes, let's see submit and see what we get. I know, cool. We beat around 50% of people. That's not bad, right? So you can kind of see that, okay, we just follow step by step, right? We first loop through text. If we've seen a word that's in broken letters, that's what we did here, right? Then plus plus, right? So does this kind of make sense on how we kind of found the solution? Or is it like a little confusing still? Any questions, or are we okay? Okay. Hopefully we're okay. right? Any questions? Please feel free to let me know, right? Please feel free to let me know. Okay, so that's kind of it for this class, right? Hopefully you guys at least got some practice writing pseudocode, right? I I didn't really expect you guys to write the code, but I just wanted you guys to write the pseudocode first, right? So any questions? Please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, you guys are free to go. Okay. Good job today, and I'll see you guys next week. And today this class is no homework, so no homework this class. And oh, you don't have to do this homework. Don't worry about it. I just want you guys to please just maybe if you don't understand pseudocode, try to go over. I'll post the recording here, and I posted the recording for last class as well. So any questions relating to pseudocode, just watch the recordings, come to TA hour, ask me questions. Right? Just try to understand it by next week. Okay. So any questions, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, you guys are free to go today. Okay. Good job. Okay. I'll see you guys next week.